Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for August 22nd, 2025. It is Friday. I hope everybody is as good of a mood as I am for this Friday, my favorite day of the work week. Obviously, when it's the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, I love them equally due to the fact that we are in football season now, which is great because we have a college football game tomorrow. It's going to be Kansas State versus Iowa State. I'm looking forward to that game. Should be a great game. By the way, just want everybody to know, I'm a little bit under the weather. It's nothing that's like detrimental to me. It's cold now in Pennsylvania, which is kind of crazy because it was like ridiculously hot out like 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And now it's like 58 degrees out. So, yeah, little under the weather, but we will get through the show. So if you recognize that, I am sorry for that. Before we get into the episode, oh yeah, by the way, topics for today's show. We're going to be talking about the NFC East. We're going to break that down. And then we're going to talk about the Terry McLaurin contract. And again, we're going to be talking about Micah Parsons and the latest, what's going on in Dallas over there. So please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Make sure to go check out the Stadium Pulse and the Mic Drop on Kretschman Media. We have more shows coming on the way. Look out for that. Okay, so let's talk about the NFC East. Let's go team for team. I'm going to rank them from 1 to 4. The team I believe is going to win the NFC East are the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that they will break the over 20-year curse of no repeat winner. I will say this, though. I don't think they're going to win it as dominantly as they won it last year. I do think that they lost quite a bit of talent, and I don't think people are talking about that enough, with the fact that they have been one of the healthiest teams in the NFL over the past few years here, and especially last year. I think they played 23 of the 24 starters in the Super Bowl. It's just hard to bank on that, especially after playing 21 games like they did last year. It's hard to replicate that type of injury luck. That's what that is at that point, right? So that's something to pay attention to, on top of the fact that, yeah, they did lose quite a bit of talent here. So I do think that their roster is talented enough to where obviously they still have a pretty good offensive line, really good, maybe the best in football. They still have the two receivers on the outside. They still have Saquon Barkley. They still have Dallas Goedert. Jalen Hurts is a nice piece for that offense. So offensively, they still have enough to, I think, be the best offense in this division. And I think defensively, even though I do believe they're going to take a step back, I do think it's enough to where you look at it, it's probably second best defense in the division. I don't think they're number one just because I think the Giants have the best defense in the division, me personally. But the Eagles, obviously, there is a lot of things to really like with that defense. So I have them as my number one team going into the season. At number 2, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to finish second in the NFC East, and I think they're going to make the playoffs this upcoming year because of two things. They have an elite passing attack, and they have an elite pass rush. And yes, I do think Micah Parsons is going to play this year for the Cowboys. So sorry about that. So there is that. Yeah, I believe that the Cowboys, because of the fact that they have such a good passing attack and such a good pass rush, that's going to be able to put themselves in a position to where when they're going to win big this year. And I think they're going to win a lot of games this year because of how dominant that passing attack can be. The last time we saw Dak Prescott play a fully healthy season, it was in 2023. And what did they do in 2023? They were the number one offense in football. Dak Prescott was second in the league in MVP voting. He was a second team All-Pro, and that was an extremely productive offense. I expect that with better receivers around him, with what I think is going to be a better offensive line this year than at least he had last year, definitely comparable to what he had in 2023. I think with all of those things being taken into consideration, I think that they're going to be able to move the ball, put up points, and because they're able to put up points, they're going to be able to get after the passer because teams are going to have to escape their structure of their defense. So that's where I have the Cowboys coming in at number 2 in the division. Again, sorry, I am under the weather, and I apologize about that. At And not only that, I do want to talk about their defense a little bit because a lot of people think that their defense is going to really struggle this year. I think when you look at the cornerbacks, there's a lot of good things coming out about Kyer Elam. Deron Bland is a very good corner in this league. Once they get Diggs back, Diggs is a very good corner as well. We'll see how they position it. They're getting Savon Ravel this season, who was a guy that people looked at as a first-round pick. They have a lot of pieces to really like in that cornerback room. They just have to get healthy. But even still, I think the cornerback room is being pretty underrated because now they do have to find a nickel corner. That is fair. But I think the two outside corners with Bland, and I'm willing to believe the hype that I'm hearing coming out of Cowboys camp about Kyer Elam because of the receivers he has to play every single day in practice. That's why I believe that, right? So I think their linebackers, it's a very solid unit. Their safeties are average. I think their defensive line is better than I think people give them credit for. Their one techniques are like bad, but they have like a really solid rotation at 3 technique. So we'll see what happens there. And number 3, you ready for this? Whoo, I'm going to piss off one fan base that is already pissed off at me. That's fine. Coming in at number 3, I have the New York Giants finishing 3rd in the NFC East. I have them finishing above the Washington Commanders this year. And the reason why is because when you look and you compare hold up. Sorry about that. The reason why I believe the Giants are going to finish 3rd in the NFC East this upcoming season is because when you rank the Giants defense and offense, I think they have the number 1 defense in the NFC East. And yeah, I do think they have the 4th offense in the NFC East. But when you look at the Commanders, I personally think they have the 3rd best offense in the division and they have the 4th best defense in the division. I don't see any way that the Commanders win this division this year. I don't think they're going to come in second in this year. I don't even think they're going to come in 3rd, which is why I have the Giants coming in 3rd, because I just think that because the Commanders defense is going to be as bad as I think it's going to be, now your offense has to break the structure that I felt like they did a really good job with last year. I feel like with the Commanders offense last year, they did a really good job of staying within structure, right? I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think their defense got worse, and I think they're going to put way more on Jaden Daniels' plate. And because of that, I think it's just going to be too much. And that's why I don't see the Commanders as a team that I think they're going to be picking in the top 10 this year. That's how low I am on the Commanders. And I know, hey, they just made the NFC Championship game. You know, it's just a natural progression. What's going on with them? But at the same time, just because they made it to the NFC Championship game doesn't mean they can't nosedive, right? Like the San Francisco 49ers made it to the Super Bowl the year prior, and they nosedived this year just because, you know, that's just how it is in the NFL. And I think that the Washington Commanders roster this upcoming year is not as good as the San Francisco 49ers roster from last season, right? So it can happen. And I think it's going to happen to the Washington Commanders. So my rankings for the division. My rankings for the NFC East, I have the Philadelphia Eagles coming in 1st place. I have the Dallas Cowboys coming in 2nd place. I have the New York Giants coming in 3rd place. And I have the Washington Commanders coming in 4th place. I think out of those 4 teams, I personally believe that the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to make it to the playoffs. And we'll see what happens there. And I think that feels like a pretty good ranking for the NFC East. So before we get into the next topic, I'm sorry, I have to take a quick 15-second break. I got to go blow my nose. Okay. I apologize for that. Like I said, 58 degrees in Philadelphia. The weather has turned big time. And I guess it's cold season, I guess you would call that, but I don't even know. So we're going to move on to the next topic. We're going to be talking about the Commanders and Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin has yet to be paid by the Washington Commanders. And I personally take the side of the Washington Commanders here. Terry McLaurin's a very good player, very good receiver. I get it. He's also in the back nine of his career. You don't pay players for what they've done for you. You pay them for what they're going to do for you. And when you look at Terry McLaurin and what he's going to do for them in this contract, he turns 30 in September. He turns 30 in September 15th. So he still has one more year on his contract, right? If they sign him to a 3-year deal, guess what? He's going to be with that team for another 4 years, including this year. So you're going to have him under contract until he's 33 years old? Do you honestly think that you're going to get the type of production that warrants what he's asking for? What is he even asking for? And this is my big problem with the people on ESPN, FS1, and all these other networks that say, just pay the guy. Just pay him. Just pay him all this money. Pay him all the years he wants. It's the organization has to make a decision that is best for them as well. It's a two-sided street. I know everybody wants to take the player's side because business bad. We don't like business. But at the end of the day, you have to take into account both sides. The organization has an operation they have to run. And I get it. The player has money that he has to make. He's got to take care of his own. But at the same time, if I'm the Washington Commanders, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I am not paying Terry McLaurin $35 million when he is in his 30s. Why would I do that? That makes absolutely no sense for my business. Because people think that, the Washington Commanders, they're just being greedy. They think all these teams are being greedy because they don't want to pay their favorite players a bunch of money, when in this instance, to me, it doesn't make sense. And again, we talk about this all the time with fans and football fans when they say, the way you build a roster is you trade somebody a year early before you trade them a year too late. If the Washington Commanders move on from Terry McLaurin, I think they traded him at the perfect time. Terry McLaurin is not going to be more valuable as a trade asset than he is right now. And my thing is, when I look at the Commanders, I don't think this team's going to be that good this year. I don't think that they have a Super Bowl window. Their roster is not good enough. Look at their roster. It's not good. So when I look at Terry McLaurin, if he wants to get paid $35 million and he wants to cause a big problem about that, sweet, see ya. We'll trade you to another team. Good player, really good player. But at the end of the day, you cannot be paying players into their 30s that type of money, because the production that they're going to give you in their 30s is not the type of production that you're going to get from a guy like, Jefferson, Chase, CeeDee Lamb, because they're in the prime of their careers and their prime is going to stretch for another 4 or 5 years. Terry McLaurin is in the back end of his prime. And them paying Terry McLaurin, I don't think is going to be the right move for the organization. I don't think that's the right move for the organization. Because here's the thing, right? 3 years ago, Stephon Diggs was playing at a really high level. He was one of the best receivers in the NFL. He was better than what Terry McLaurin was. If the Bills would have paid him the type of money he was looking for, $28 million, I think it was at the time, would they have been satisfied with that contract? No. It's the same thing here. The Commanders are looking at the projections of Terry McLaurin and they're saying, okay, over the next 3 years, this guy we don't believe is going to be worth the contract that he is looking for. And that's the difference here. It's the same thing with the Trey Hendrickson thing. It's an unfortunate situation for these players. I get it. But at the end of the day, businesses have to do what is in the best interest of the business. This is what I love. You got these people on ESPN running their mouths about, just pay these guys, just pay them all the money. It's not your money. It's easy to say, go pay Terry McLaurin all this money, because it's not your money. It's easy to say, go pay Trey Hendrickson all this money, because it's not your money. It's somebody else's money. Everybody's great at spending other people's money, but they're not great at spending their own money. So when it comes to that, now here's the thing. There are certain instances like the fact that Micah Parsons hasn't gotten paid by the Cowboys yet, that's an absolute disgrace. That's an absolute disgrace. Like, no, you pay that guy because he is in the prime of his career and he has a prime that's going to stretch for the next 4 to 5 years. Terry McLaurin, I don't think you could say the same thing. Not only can you not say the same thing, but I don't believe Terry McLaurin is some elite receiver. I don't think he's some gotta have it type receiver. I think he's a really good receiver. I think he's a useful receiver. I think he's the type of receiver that, yeah, if he is your number one option, you feel pretty good about it. But he's not Chase, Jefferson, Lamb. He's not those guys, AJ Brown. And he's not in the prime of his career either. So, like, to me, this is a no-brainer. I would just say, hey, look, Terry, you meant a lot to the organization. Where would you like to be traded? And we'll see if we can get a good trade package for you. Because where he is right now, in his point of his career, I wouldn't pay him. I don't think that that's a smart investment. And not only that, like I hear people say this all the time. Well, Jaden Daniels is on a rookie deal. He's on a rookie deal. You could pay all these guys around him. You don't have to worry about it. That's just a bad way to look at that. That's not a good way to look at that. When you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, instead of spending your money recklessly, why don't you spend it? Like, why don't you actually do smart things with the boatload of money that you're going to have because you're not paying the quarterback? Why don't you just do smart things with that? And is paying a 30, obviously 29 now, but soon to be 30-year-old receiver, $35+ million. You actually think that that's a smart investment? Do you? Because you don't. I don't. I don't think that that's a smart investment. And like I said, very good player, but he's not even Devontae Adams. I don't think he's better than Devontae Adams, and I wouldn't pay Devontae Adams that type of money, even though I think Devontae Adams has a few years on him. But even at 30, I think paying Devontae Adams that type of money, I personally wouldn't be for it. Because again, it's not about what you have done. It's about what you are going to do. And if an organization comes to the decision that, okay, when we project out for this player, what he's going to look like in the next 5 years, it's probably not good enough to justify giving him that type of contract. And that's where I think the Commanders are in a little bit of a tough situation here, because obviously you want to give Jaden Daniels the weapons that he needs to operate this offense, but you don't want to do it at the expense of your salary cap. And it's already too late in the season to really move on from him and go get legitimate receivers to put around him. I mean, who would their wide receiver one be? Deebo Samuel? But I just think at the same time, the Commanders are not that good of a football team. So when I look at this team, I just say, hey, I think I would just move on from Terry McLaurin. So that's going to be it for that topic. I am going to take a quick 30-second break. I will be right back. All right, so before we get into the next topic, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Would greatly help out the page. Also, while you are at it, please make sure to go check out the other shows. Make sure to go check out the Mic Drop with Benjamin Garcia. Make sure to go check out the Stadium Polls with Tegan Randolph. They are on the page. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys check that out, because they are creating some great content. And just as a whole, Kretschman Media, we are producing some very, very great content. And I can't wait for you guys to see what we have in store going forward here. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. Jerry Jones, again, I'm getting really, really freaking tired of talking about this Micah Parsons thing. I really am. And I guess I'm part of the problem because I keep talking about it, but it's news. It's the biggest news, I think, in football right now. So Micah Parsons took Dallas Cowboys out of his bio and put TBD. Michael Irvin, he was on Michael Irvin's show, Jerry Jones, that being, saying that there was a agreement in place between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons' agent apparently told Jerry Jones, allegedly, we have to make sure that we specify that, quote, shove it up your ass. This is messy. This is really messy. And I don't think this is a Micah Parsons thing. I think that Jerry and David Mulugheta they have hard feelings towards each other. When, I hear Dan Orlovsky say that Micah Parsons, that there's like a dislike for Jerry Jones to Micah Parsons, I don't think that's the case. I think there is a dislike between Jerry Jones and David Mulugheta. I would say that. And I think, unfortunately, Micah Parsons is caught in the middle of this thing. But I'm not going to fall for the theatrics. Micah Parsons is going to sign a deal with the Cowboys. I am very confident about that. I'm very confident that come game one, with the Cowboys and the Eagles, Micah Parsons will be out there playing. I think ultimately they do get a deal done. I've seen this for years and years and years when it comes to the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. We're not going to pay this player. We're going to hold the line. And then they end up paying the player. Top of the market money, by the way. And that's where I think this is heading. Now, it might not look like that because of the fact that there hasn't been negotiations, right? But these negotiations are kind of simple. Hey, let's meet up. Okay, cool. Okay, we want a 5-year contract. Well, our guy wants to sign for 4 years. All right, we'll go back and forth. We'll yell at each other. We'll say that, we want this and we want that. And then one side says, okay, we'll give you the 4 years. Or Dallas may say, hey, we'll give you the 4 years, but we want this term in the contract. Okay, you can have that term. That's what this is all about, right? It's the give and take of a contract, to where, when it comes to these things, contract negotiations, you're giving and you're taking. Hey, we want this. Okay, we'll give you that, but we want this in the contract. Okay, it's a give and take. It's not something that should take that long to hammer out. And that's ultimately where I am with this. I'm not falling for the theatrics. It's going to be a situation where, they're going to say a lot of mean things about each other, but ultimately, the Cowboys and Micah Parsons are going to find a way to get a deal done, because every single player that is big for the Cowboys and has been a big star, Jerry Jones has made this a whole theatrical thing and saying, hey, we're not going to sign this guy. Hey, ZQ, and talking about CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. And then what happens? They end up signing these guys. It's going to be the same thing here. And I think Jerry Jones was right when he said, if you saw the contract that I was going to give Micah Parsons, you would know how much I like Micah Parsons. And I do think that the organization values him. I will say this, though. I think somebody is in Jerry's ear right now saying, don't pay Micah Parsons. Because the thing is, everybody thinks that Jerry Jones is just some dictator for the Dallas Cowboys and, my way or the highway. We're not going to listen to any outside opinions it's just going to be my opinion. No, that's not the case. You get to Jerry Jones, you talk Jerry Jones into something, you can get your way if you're in that front office. Jerry Jones is not lying when he says that he hires people and he pays attention to their opinion. The problem is there's too many people with an opinion in that organization. That's why there's a lack of clarity in that organization, because there's so many people giving out opinions and telling Jerry Jones, hey, do this. Hey, let's draft Drew Henson. He's the next Troy Aikman. That was something that they said. Right? Jerry Jones does not control like a dictator over the Dallas Cowboys. That's just not what he does. So, to me, when I look at this whole situation, I just think it's messy. I think that there's tough feelings on both sides, but I think ultimately they're going to get a deal done, and I'm not falling for the theatrics. But we're going to cut the show short today just because I'm feeling it right now with these allergies or cold, whatever it is that I have. And I will make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. We will see you guys on the next episode. Please make sure to go check out the Mic Drop and the Stadium Pulse. And until next time, we will see you guys on the next episode.